I mean, look
Perfect.
at his arms. He's huge.
Yeah, that dude's huge. Holy
That's Puig.
yeah.
Like with arms like his, why would that dude ever want to wear sleeves ever again on
It
the field
wouldn't,
of play?
exactly.
If I had arms like that, I would never wear sleeves.
And with that, we are back with the More Park Reporter Sportcast. I am here with my optimal presenters today: Denny Spanovich, Maxwell Clark, Mitch Ross, Kennedy Collier, and not a bad haircut in the house. No Mark Davis is here. We got some primo presenters. But moving on, we've got some news, and it is new news because normally, it's a little. We gather up the best tidbits of news and conversation, and we give it to you at the end of the week. But today, we got news about one JJ Watt. So tell me about this and tell me why he should not be traded to the Steelers so they can have like all the Watts.
I'm honestly surprised you didn't go Max here first so he could spend the entire 10 minutes just sobbing. But it's just like, do the Texans want to have fans at all? Do they want to have a single person in their stadium? Because after the way they've treated Deshaun Watson with this whole contract and trade mess, and now they just gave up on JJ Watt, and it's just, why would you ever want to watch a Texans football game? It's just depressing. If you're JJ Watt, you obviously want to get out of the organization. You see the dysfunction, you see the drama that's happening. JJ Watt is all about football. He's also all about America and all that stuff, but he's really all about football. So this distraction is not his bag. He wants to go to a team that is winning, that's in contention. He's arguably, when he's healthy, which isn't often, one of the best defensive players at his position. And he obviously feels like he wants to win that Super Bowl. He sees Tom Brady at 43 winning the Super Bowl. He feels like he's due. So I don't blame JJ for getting out of there. I can just hope Deshaun Watson gets the heck out of there.
You nailed it, Kennedy. You mentioned who's going to be watching the games. Who's even going to be on the Texans? Like, who's going to want to play for Houston? Max, hey, man, it's time to give it up. It's time to pick a new franchise because, man, losing JJ, you guys had JJ Watt for 10 years. You had Deshaun Watson for 3 years, man. It's just not looking good. I'd like to see JJ Watt on the Packers, like to see him with Aaron Rodgers, an actual organization that can win. I know the Steelers are the favorite, team him up with his brother, but they're losing a lot of guys, or they could lose a lot of guys in free agency. So I'd like to see him go to Green Bay, contend for a title. And man, JJ Watt, he's just a player that you just got to root for. So I hope to see him in Green Bay.
Yeah. Look, JJ Watt, one of only 3 guys ever in the NFL, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's getting up there a little bit. He's 31, and he wants to win. And I feel for him because I know how much the city of Houston meant to him and how much he meant to the city of Houston right after the hurricane. I think he raised over $37 million for the city. He's won NFL Man of the Year. He's just a great dude in general. I don't think he's going to go to Pittsburgh just because they're having some financial issues. I like what Kennedy threw in the chat that to Cleveland, because Cleveland's got some cap room. But I mean, look, it's a player that's on the market now. Why aren't the Rams going after him just to solidify that defense? And I think that might be his best chance. But hey, Max, I'm sorry. JJ Watt, James Harden, George Springer, Garrett Cole, all within the last year and a half or so. It's been a tough year for Houston, for sure.
Yeah, it's been very tough. But JJ Watt, it's really hard to not talk about. Should have been an MVP. Aaron Rodgers, that's one of the worst MVP seasons I've seen taken. But yeah, 3 times, like Mitch said, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year, raised over $37 million, which was able to build over 1,100 homes. Help rebuild 971 child care centers, and which helped 108,000 children, and over 239 million meals have been distributed because of his efforts after Hurricane Harvey. I'm not surprised in any way that this is happening. He released a video today saying how it was a mutual, like he asked to be released, and I think it was a mutual thing. I think it was respect from the organization trying to give him the option to go wherever he wanted to. I want nothing but the best for him. He's one of the greatest Texans of all time, if not the best. Yeah, I just hope I hope he does well. I wish nothing but the best for him. The all-time great player and person. So yeah.
Max, I'm going to let you off easy because you have two franchises who are breaking your heart. You just said Aaron Rodgers had the worst MVP season ever when the man has 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Again, I'm not going to get into it because you have two.
Are you talking about I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about 2014.
Oh, well, let's talk about J.J. Watt then.
Did 5 touchdowns back then?
Has there ever been a player who's been more injured and more overhyped than J.J. Watt? I've heard his injury report more than I've seen his sack highlights.
Nope.
This man is the most overrated. When he's not on the field trying to throw a football in front of a television camera so he can get a couple likes on Twitter, he's injured, Max.
This ain't it, brother. 2 times 20.5 sacks in a season. 2 times. 5 touchdowns in a season. He's a defensive player. You have never seen that before. Do not give me this. He's overrated. Come on.
Not on the field.
All right. So we're going to move on to the next topic soon. And I'm going to I'm going to be astonished that you guys don't want the Pittsburgh Steelers to become the gang squad of Watt. I mean, it would lend a whole new air to like the old school who's on first sketch. But
you would only have 2 Watts on there because JJ would be on the sideline with another knee brace or something.
Kennedy, don't make me mute you. Mitch knows what that feels like. So moving on to our next topic, we're going to be talking about a little bit of buzz about the All-Star game. Now, I don't follow sports Twitter, but apparently there must be some rumblings because they even reached me. So tell me about it.
Yeah, so the All-Star game has had a lot of backlash already. They announced it was gonna happen, and almost immediately you heard from players. Like LeBron spoke out against it. Selfishly, I would love to see this happen. It's I think it's the greatest sporting weekend that isn't involved with a championship. I think it's one of the most entertaining things you can watch. But Kawhi said it best. He said, "It is what it is at this point. We all know why we're playing it. There's money on the line. Just putting money over health right now." Yeah, he said it perfectly. It's almost a slap in the face to the players, saying you can't go out. You can't go out. You have to be careful and do all this. You have to take all these precautions. You can't even exchange jerseys after the game where you're colliding with these dudes. And but let's do a game where a bunch of dudes from around the league get to go to Atlanta, and so the NBA can just make some money. Yeah, I think I agree with the players. I think it's a slap in the face.
I'm only pointing this out so Dom can't remove it from the episode. Max, I agree with you that the NBA All-Star Game is fun. It's a great event. Honestly, it's one of the most fun non-competitive events in sports, but it's so unnecessary right now. It is so unnecessary right now. And I think the players are in a unique position where the All-Star Game is really about the top of the tops. You're only getting the best players who are getting multi-million-dollar deals, who have multi-million-dollar advertisements. So if I'm LeBron James, and I'm serious about my health, my family's health, my team's health, I just don't go. I boycott. What are you going to do? What is the NBA going to do? Fine me? Fine. I have millions and millions of dollars. If I'm Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Giannis, I forgot all the other NBA All-Stars, just don't go. Give the young guys, the guys who aren't as experienced or well-known, let them go to the All-Star Game if they want. You don't need this. If there wasn't a pandemic, if everything was fine, obviously I'd be super hyped because this is an event and it's one of the most fun events in sports, but it's unnecessary. So boycott it.
Yeah, for sure. Kennedy, you bring up a great point about LeBron. Like, yeah, if he gets fined, whatever. I think today they just reported he's passed $1 billion in career earnings just from NBA contracts, which is incredible on its own. And I think it's a great opportunity to give exposure to players like Zach LaVine, who's having just a crazy, amazing season for Chicago, who in a normal season would not be getting into the All-Star game because, let's be honest, it is a popularity contest in the NBA. But granted, the most popular players are usually the best players. LeBron said it best, like he's got no energy. He's got no reason, no motivation to do this All-Star game. I pulled up something that Chris Paul, the head of the players union, said. He's like, guys are entitled to their feelings, and the union is trying to do everything in the best interest of the players. I just don't believe that. If they were doing it in the best interest of the players, they would have some sort of ceremonial all-star event, and it wouldn't be an actual game being played. And if it was being played, why is it not in Indiana where it was supposed to be this season before it got canceled?
Yeah, you guys hit it all right on the nail, as the saying goes. Yeah, I like Kenny. I like your idea of letting other players get some more exposure, because that's what happens in the NFL. A lot of players opt out of the Pro Bowl in the NFL, or they're in the playoffs, so they can't make it. So we get to see a lot of young players in the NFL in their Pro Bowl, and this is obviously a whole nother level compared to the NFL Pro Bowl. This is the NBA All-Star Weekend, usually a 3-day event. But yeah, this is just unnecessary. And I was looking through some quotes, and I found this quote from Giannis, the reigning 2-time MVP. He says, he's taking a stand with LeBron James. We've got to follow the big dog. The big dog says he has zero excitement, and I'm the same way. That's why LeBron James is the MVP. I don't want to hear none of this Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, MVP, Donovan Mitchell. LeBron James MVP, should be unanimous MVP this season. What are we doing?
Now we got to move back to some other predictions you guys made at the beginning of the season. All right, we predicted MVPs, and we also made some predictions about which teams would surprise. So I want you guys to revisit some of these predictions. All right, we have Kennedy and the Suns, Mitch and the Timberwolves, Danny and the Wizards, and Max.
I got a couple of things.
Yeah. But we'll get to that right now.
Yeah, when this Wizards trade went down, John Wall for Russell Westbrook, I called it a win-win for both organizations. I thought both needed a breath of fresh air with a new superstar, but I just forgot how trash Russell Westbrook is. I'm sorry. I mean, once the guy, he lost what made Russell Westbrook was his athleticism. And now that it's gone, so he's not athletic anymore, and he still can't shoot. And he's leading the NBA with 5 turnovers a game, which it's just, I don't even know how that's possible. It's just a mess. 6-16. How is Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook 6-16? I don't get it. Anyways, free Bradley Beal. A couple teams I'd like to see him go to. Nuggets and the Pelicans. Love to see him with a Jokic and Jamal Murray, and I'd love to see him with Zion. So I hope they can free Bradley Beal. He deserves it. Get him out of that garbage organization.
Yeah, so I got a lot of things wrong. I got the Wizards wrong. I got Utah. Utah was my biggest mistake. I don't think I had actually Utah on the playoff bracket at all. And I just underestimated Spida Mitchell, man. He's going crazy. He's having an MVP season. Rudy Gobert, I think that's why I counted him out, is just because I don't like Rudy Gobert very much. I also said the Raptors weren't going to make it. They're playing way better than I expected without Gasol. But another thing that I got wrong was the Hornets. As of right now, the Hornets, I don't remember what seeding they are exactly, but they're in the playoffs if it ended right now. Yeah, they're the 6th seed. So I think they're playing really, really well. They're showing that they can win good games. And yeah, LaMelo Ball's playing well. And so is Miles Bridges. He's playing awesome.
Max, I'm sorry, I love you, but I gotta say, I believe you said Houston would hold on to Harden. That was your biggest mistake of the NBA preseason. Mine was the Phoenix Suns. I said they would be absolutely trash. It's a trash city, a trash team with trash players, and I couldn't have been more wrong. They've really surprised me. I think they've really surprised the whole NBA. You saw Devin Booker kind of have a coming out party during the bubble where he won 8 straight games. He just balled out like crazy, and he's really carried it over to this season. Now they're sitting at number 4 in the West. I don't think that this current team with him and Chris Paul, if Chris Paul's your second best player, especially now, and Devin Booker's your first, you aren't going to win a championship. Now, if Devin Booker was on the Lakers, on the Clippers, on the Celtics, or even with the Heat, I think he has at least one championship under his belt because he is that good of a player. He's not going to be in that bracket of the LeBron James, of the Kevin Durant, but I think he can be one step below that, where if he's your second best player, you have a really good team. So I was really wrong about the Phoenix Suns, but I was mostly wrong about Devin Booker.
Boy, was I wrong about the Minnesota Timberwolves? Mind you, they started off hot. They won 2 games back-to-back to start off the season. And then it got bad. They are currently not doing that well. They're sitting at 6-20. 6-20, bottom of the West. But I would like to point you in the direction of their last 7 games, where they're 2-5, losing record. But out of those games, the 5 games that they've lost have only been 5 points or less. So that's trending in the right direction. Man, I was bad. I thought that they would be good. COVID really took over this team, and injuries really took it over. I really liked, in theory, the combination of D'Lo and Cat. He's back now, but not back soon enough to save their season. I will say, I do think I said something about Steph Curry being the MVP this season. He very well could be if the Warriors make it higher than like the 6th seed in the West. He's having a phenomenal year.
I'll give it a little extra bonus.
Hold up, Kennedy. I just gotta warn Mitch real quick. You gotta watch that, all right? And then it got bad is, I think, the new official slogan of Houston sports. So,
Dom, why you gotta do Max dirty like that? Come on, man.
I want to state publicly that this is my last episode. I will not be returning.
Okay,
you got to give us a break.
I'll take my bonus.
JJ Watt. After that,
I'll take my cookie from Kennedy now.
Oh, I was wrong about is it wrong about the Miami Heat if COVID wrecked the whole team? Because I said they would be the number 2 seed.
I said that they were going to do really well. I also said the Celtics were going to do well, and they're sitting at 13-12. What is going on with them? I mean, this season has been crazy so far. Everything has been all out of whack. COVID has postponed games. I don't think it's a fair evaluation at this point, but we'll see what happens.
But let's have an all-star game.
All right, let's do that. And Kennedy, one last point. I think when you made the predictions, you had to take into account the fact that COVID wasn't going away. So, yes.
So I wasn't wrong. Thank you, Dom.
It's okay. It's okay. Maybe one day you'll redeem yourself. And that day could be today, because we're going to have some NBA MVP chat. I want to know, now that we're into the season, what were your predictions originally? Who are your predictions now? Is it still looking steady? I mean, we heard a little bit earlier about Steph Curry, but tell us some more.
I kind of just want to say LeBron James, because honestly, if you're just going to give the MVP to the best player in the NBA, it would go to LeBron James every year. I don't think he will get it, only because of that narrative of not giving the MVP to the same guy all the time. So I'm just going to go on a limb and say Joel Embiid. I think he's balling out this season. He's really benefiting from Daryl Morey, which is funny because he created small ball. But I think this is going to be Joel Embiid's season. I'm really interested. I know this isn't a postseason award, but I'm really interested to see how far the 76ers can get into the postseason.
I said earlier, I think Donovan Mitchell is the MVP right now. 24. He doesn't have crazy stats. He's got 24 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, and 5.1 assists. But they are the 1 seed, and they're doing really well. I think if the season ended right now, it'd be hard not to give him the MVP. So yeah, I also started this off. I think earlier this year, I predicted Joel Embiid, and then I'm now changing. So
you guys didn't let me pick LeBron. You made me choose Luka, and man, I feel like a lot of us picked Luka, and man, were we wrong about that? He just cannot carry this Dallas Mavericks team. He needs some help. But I'm gonna go with LeBron. I mean, 20-6, second best record in the NBA. they're on a 6-game winning streak, I believe, with no Anthony Davis. So, hey, throw him Alex Caruso, throw him THT. This is his year. It's going to be his first MVP in, I think, since 2013, something like that. I do like what Donovan Mitchell and Joel Embiid are doing, but I feel like Mitchell, I saw some crazy stat where he's shooting like 60% in the fourth quarter, which is crazy, but that's just not sustainable. So I'm looking for a Jazz little decline. I'm looking for the Lakers to go back to the top, and LeBron James MVP.
Danny, I have to agree with you. The MVP plays in Los Angeles, but his name is Paul George, and I'll tell you why. PG-13 putting on a career year, having the highest shooting percentage of his entire career. He's averaging like 24 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He's shooting in the upper 40s from 3. He's having a phenomenal year with the Clippers. And did Kennedy say, take this man's NBA card? I'm just trying to give some diversity. I mean, look, the Clippers could go on a run. Paul George has definitely been key for them this season, and he's having a career year. You cannot deny it. And if we're talking about MVP, I think the Clippers are not the Clippers without Paul George. And I think you got to look at, if you take a player away from that team, what are they without them? The Lakers are probably nothing without LeBron. And LeBron is probably the MVP every single year. But because he's won the MVP 4 times already, like, you have to give it to someone else, because the NBA MVP is kind of like, we got to give it to everybody at some point. If not, why did Jordan not win MVP every single year? Why does, the only sport I could say is different is baseball, where Mike Trout wins MVP every year because he deserves it.
All right. So
let me I know there's a lot of hate going on in the chat on Mitch.
Well, no. I
Yeah.
just want to ask something. Have the Clippers ever won a championship?
No, but this could be the year. They have a really good team because of Paul George.
Yeah, I think, Mitch, I agree with you. I think they're actually a little underrated. They've been kind of their line still hasn't been consistent with COVID. I saw a stat where Paul George and Kawhi, they've only played 18 games together so far out of their 30, and they've been 15-3 in those games. So if they can keep it up, I'm definitely scared of them going deep into the playoffs.
Right. And look, every year the MVP is LeBron's award to lose. Everybody knows he was robbed last year. He should have won, not Giannis. And I think he knows that. And in all likelihood, LeBron will get it this year. But for the sake of diversity, let's go to the other team in the same building.
Wait. You think the Clippers have never made a finals, and you think with Paul George they can beat out the Nets and the Lakers?
Look, Paul George plus Kawhi Leonard, the most lethal two-way player duo in the NBA. You cannot deny that. Paul George is having a career year, and I think anything can happen this year. Who knows with AD's health? Like, if he's going to be all right for the rest of the season, anything can happen, Dom. I think the Clippers have as good a shot as anyone.
I don't know about that. And that is all the time we have for today. So let's hear once again your names, what you do for our paper, and where our wonderful listeners can find you. Danny
Stepanovich on Twitter and Instagram, Moore Park reporter, sports desk editor.
There we go. 2 H's at the end of that Twitter handle. Put that respect on it. Max.
Thank you.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at _Max Clark, slandering the Houston Texans organization. And for more, I'm a staff writer.
Down bad.
There we go.
Very down bad.
That's how we know Max is a true fan, because he's willing to go against an organization that does not have the team's best interests at heart. Mitch.
Yeah, at Mitch Ross Report, acting like a roll of Charmin, because I'm either on a roll or taking somebody's crap. I'm a staff writer for the Moore Park Reporter, and Kennedy knows nothing about the NBA.
How dare you? How dare you say you're taking people's crap after what we do to Max? You should be ashamed. Kennedy.
You can find me at Kennedy C. Collier, and you can also find me just crying in a corner because I see reports that the Denver Broncos aren't going to do anything in getting Deshaun Watson. So,
thank you for watching.